One thing about me, I need something that's not afraid to tackle real life, emotional neglect, class immigration, masculinity, grief, community, all concepts my little 8-year-old brain could never comprehend. If I had to put it into words, Hey Arnold just happens to have a certain quality about it. If I had to put in just one word, that word would be familiar. You don't know Arnold, but you probably knew an Arnold growing up. He's probably that one kid you saw who was just kind of there, chilling. He wasn't like a big talker, but he was probably one hell of a listener though. Maybe it was you. This is usually the grounded character. Other shows do this too. And when you choose to make this character your main character, well, you ain't really got no choice but to cook up or get out the kitchen. But it's not just Arnold and his friends. The whole city felt alive, like a real character in itself, if it was lived in. Like the folks there really function independently from the main cast when the camera's cut off. It's kind of like that. Put all that into a blender, and you got a show with some real staying power. Every time someone says anything about the 90s or childhood, I immediately think of this show. And that's probably because it feels the most like a real childhood to me. As adults, I'm sure we can relate to the word escapism. And once you hit adulthood, you've got a plethora of poisons to pick: drugs, alcohol, food, gambling, all the vices, everything, everyone. But as a kid, all we really had was TV. Now that I think about it, it really was a simpler time back then. There were only like 3 or 4 channels that we'd all cycle through back in the day: Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, Disney Channel, or whatever channel they played those soap operas on. But there's just something about the mellow mood of Hey Arnold that always stuck with me. They didn't shove a lesson in your face every episode. It was just kids being kids. And when you're a kid, you kind of feel that. I know we all grown up and we got our own issues, but those little kid problems used to seem like the end of the world back in the day. Anyway, Hey Arnold, it's not really anything tangible I can put into words for real. But we gonna try, and hey, even if we fail, it's okay.
Hit the block with the tomfoolery. I don't trust it if it's new to me. Try to tell me who to be. Heart in my shoulder, 32 degrees. You ain't whack, you just lack focus. Fuck the beat, even at my lowest. I don't even really need a motive. Hit the studio and hit a quota. Yeah.
It's not about the cast and characters. It's important to flesh out the world they're in so that they have things to do. Think of it like giving your character a bunch of side quests or episodes. Childhood is basically nothing but side quests, so you kind of get it. Hey Arnold is filled with this kind of stuff. You got the legend of Big Caesar, Four-Eyed Jack, the Headless Cabbie. Don't even get me started on the Haunted Train. I remember having legit fear in my heart after watching that episode and having to go to bed immediately after. And then the special Haunted Train song even leaks into the ending credits. That's how you know they got like a good show in their hands when they switch up the vibe every now and then. I like that. I think one of the things the show does really well is that it created a world that a bunch of kids would actually live in. They do kid stuff. They play baseball. They play in the dirt. They get bullied. They make mistakes. And the world doesn't end, because that's what childhood is. To quote Louis C.K., you're not raising your kids, you're raising the adult they're going to be later. If they meet a pigeon man or a monkey man when they're 9, maybe they won't be so, judgmental when they see a hobo or a drug addict on the street. I don't know, that's just my logic. This is why a sense of community is so important, and why it was so important to make your kids go outside. Let them scrape their knee, and not have it be a whole big PSA about caring. Sometimes you're careful, and you still scrape your knee. Sometimes people get robbed. Sometimes it's you. And sometimes you just gotta hold the L. Some of y'all ain't taking enough L's in your childhood, and it shows. Maybe if you grew up in Arnold's neighborhood, which is this New York, we all been through some things with family, because no, mom and dad weren't millionaires. Matter of fact, your mama got a drinking problem. And your dad likes your older sister way more than you. He don't even know your name. Or how about this? You actually come from a loving 2-parent household where all your needs are met. Your parents just think you're a little bit fat is all. It's fine. They support you regardless, but now you go to school and bully the other kids because you weren't comfortable in your own skin. It's fine. Or how about this? You're the middle child in a black household. That's it. Or you could be like my boy Arnold, no parents. What looks like 10 to 12 roommates and a pig. Not all families come in the same cookie cutter outline. Families start out one way and may turn out another. But we do what we can with what we got, and we make the most out of the relationships we're tethered to. This show really goes that extra mile to find a childhood for every viewer. You know what I'm saying? If the viewer can't relate to Stinky, the poverty-stricken Yahoo soda sipper, then maybe they can relate to Lorenzo, the spoiled rich kid. There's a cavalcade of characters you can vicariously live through. Whatever your background, they got you covered. And I like how they don't do that whole Peanuts thing where they don't bother showing adults or giving them decent dialogue. Helga don't got her out of preschool, and she don't even know why. It's crazy. If your mother needs to have a smoothie every now and then just to feel alright, that might have a negative impact on your development as well. All our families are messed up in some form or fashion, and watching someone else deal with theirs makes it easier to deal with yours. Loneliness is something we all deal with. For you, maybe your first memory is your mama leaving you at somebody's house without telling you. You know, she just casually slipped out the door when your little baby brain wasn't really processing it. I still remember that first one. That's what happens when you're a dumb kid. People lie to your face all day and night. And nothing makes you feel more lonely and more marginalized than a person lying directly to your face like it's nothing. And kids, you just tell them stupid stuff all the time. They just gotta go with it. But there's a fundamental difference between feeling lonely and being alone. I am one of those people who wholeheartedly enjoys being alone. Very rarely do I actually feel lonely though. When I was still in Tokyo, nobody knew where I lived. That was like the best feeling. I love that. I could have choked on a piece of popcorn and killed over in that joint. And the thing about solitude is, it can shape you, change you, harden you, makes you detached. And being detached is dangerous. Because on paper, nothing can hurt you, nothing can bother you, and you eventually retreat into yourself. And it can either lead you to locking in and becoming a person you were always meant to be, or if you're given the vices, you can end up like Stoop Kid or the Pigeon Man or something like that. Let me explain. Stoop Kid is lonely. Pigeon Man is alone. Stoop Kid is afraid to leave his stoop. Everybody knows that. It's not until Arnold comes along and shows him that the world is full of stoops, funnily enough, and he can see them all. If he could just find the courage to leave the comfort of his own stoop. Once he does, he's off to the races. I'm pretty sure I even saw him attend a party in the later seasons. That's some pretty good character development right there. I always like stuff like that. If we can overcome these small problems in childhood, they don't become bigger problems that cripple us emotionally later, like Pigeon Man. I'm sure he got some issues he ain't worked out yet. You can tell by the look on his face that he's on his own by choice. He's a character who has become fed up with the way the world works and has instead chosen to live on the fringe of society. Hey, the pigeons don't lie to him. They don't deceive, and if they leave, they come back. Already sounding better than people, right? This is one of those feel-good, nostalgic cartoons. It hits you right in your 90s. The jokes land, it aged well, and it's genuinely one of those shows that would make me sincerely sad when the credits started. Because it was always time to go to bed or go to soccer practice or feed the dog or something. I remember they made a whole feature film back in the day. I don't really remember it. I don't even think I saw it. It was probably mid, looks mid. I had a good time going back and watching this show. I didn't remember much, the plot, the lines, or anything. But it was like that scene in Ratatouille where the guy eats the ratatouille and then it triggers memories from his childhood. That's what this show is like to me. Like a bite of nostalgic 90s Ratatouille.
I love this show.